In the mid-'80s, I was a big sister to a young woman who lived in North Philadelphia. And I took my little sister on a walk in the Wissahickon because to me it's the most beautiful place in the city and it's my sanctuary, and I thought, who couldn't love this? And she was scared, she felt dirty, she felt there were animals and couldn't wait to get out. And somehow this light bulb went off in my head and I went, there's this organization called Outward Bound and I wonder if they do any urban programs. And I wrote them and they sent me a whole package and I got really interested in that. And I was very good friends with Michael Nutter.
Nancy had this idea about children taking more advantage of Fairmount Park, experiencing the park, this huge park system within a completely urban environment.
And I learned there was this newly formed urban program in Baltimore. So I went down to Baltimore and I met David Starnes.
So she came down by herself. We probably spent a half a day together walking around. We had some course starts and course beginnings like everywhere. Talked about the kids we serve. Our variants on the traditional Outward Bounds where we said we also want to work with public schools. Nancy watched this and basically, I think in her mind, she said, I want to do this in Philly.
And I asked him at the end of that, I said, are there any board members I could talk to that are in Philadelphia? And he said, yeah, there's a guy named Tim Greenwood, and he's on the board of Hurricane Island.
Nancy got my name and said, I've got a vision of taking my little sister program, and I was shocked that my little sister was scared of the woods, and what means so much to me, the Wissahickon and Fairmount Park, was a fear factor for her. So I'm calling you because I want to start an Outward Bound program in Philadelphia.
It was very nice, and he said, you know, nice to meet you, but now is not the time to start an Outward Bound program. Hurricane
Island had no appetite for starting a Philadelphia Outward Bound school.
So I said, okay, nice talking to you.
That kind of went out of my head. It clearly didn't go out of her head.
Nancy being Nancy generally doesn't take no for an answer, and kind of came back a couple years later and said, you know, we still really want to pursue this idea here in Philadelphia, and said to me, you know, if I'm going to do this, you're now the councilman in this area, I really need your help and support. I said, I'm all in.
We called Tim, and I said, Tim, this is Nancy Goldenberg. Do you remember me? And he went, you're the kid that wanted to start Outward Bound. I go, yes. I'm calling you back because I'm here with Michael and we really want to do this. And he goes, great. We've got, you know, it's a great time. All those issues that we had a couple years ago are gone. We're moving forward. I think this is great. And so right then and there, we began plotting how we were going to create Philadelphia Outward Bound.
The real start of Philadelphia Outward Bound was a series of dinners, mostly at the Valley Green Inn. Lots of food, lots of wine, lots of conversation.
So we decided we would have a gathering, that we would gather at Valley Green, which is in the Wissahickon, very symbolic of where I took my little sister that first day. We probably had about 50 or so people there. It was September 17th, 1992. That is the start, officially, of Philadelphia Outward Bound.
Our original goal, and I have to say Nancy and Michael drove this, was really focused on public school kids.
The vision was that every Philadelphia public school student would have an opportunity to do an Outward Bound course.
One of our big goals was to really give as much opportunity to as many children as possible.
So the next step was, it might have been Tim, and he said, gosh, Michael, Nancy, you're gonna do this, we're gonna do this, you guys need to go on an Outward Bound course.
And we put together a 5-day expedition there in Baltimore.
And so about a month later, Michael and I found ourselves on a sailing course in the Chesapeake Bay with David Starnes and about, 8 to 10 educators from Philadelphia. And we were on a pulling boat for 5 days, and we didn't get off.
We were in one of these pulling boats, and I thought, okay, I mean, this is the boat that's going to take us to the real boat, maybe like a small cruise ship or something like that. That was not the case. The pulling boat was the boat.
When the wind is blowing, you can sail, and when it's not blowing, you've got oars for everybody. And you're sleeping on the oars at night.
There's no privacy. You sleep on the boat, you eat on the boat, you poop on the boat.
So it was a quite unusual, different, but I think invigorating kind of experience. And I said to Nancy, you're right. We really do need to have something like this in Philadelphia.
All to say that group again came together, was very much impacted by that experience, and formed an official advisory board.
They were principals and vice principals of mostly public schools in the Philadelphia public school system. They got very excited, and over the course of those 5 days, it became, well, what are we waiting for? Let's do it. And, let's raise the money. And my school, we'll do it. We'll be the first ones. We'll be the first ones. So when we got off the course, we had 4 schools, 4 Philadelphia public schools who agreed to be the guinea pigs. Bieber, Auden Reed, Adair, and Lincoln. I did drive down on the bus with them, and I did return with them 5 days later.
I remember black kids, white kids, maybe Latino kids, all being in separate places on the bus that was taking them to Baltimore.
One school would go to the back of the bus, the other school would go to the front of the bus.
When we would greet them upon their return, they were all over the place.
They just intermingled and were talking the whole way, and they were filthy and smelly, and they were just a bundle of joy.
They had had a shared experience that brought them much closer together, and a lot of the barriers had been broken away because they had to depend on each other.
It was like, yes, this is what this is about. This is it. This is it. It's great. It's great.
We really in the woods, like gang. We gotta know where we going. Shine a light on them. All right. I think we far enough. Find y'all spots and go take them.
It's been challenging, but in a good way.
I'm surprised the food is actually good.
It's a lot of fun. I love it here. I don't really want to go home.